The White House is the ultimate symbol of power in the United States. For over 2 centuries, presidents, first ladies, and their families have walked its halls, made decisions that changed the course of history, and experienced moments of great national and personal significance. However, this imposing and iconic structure holds more than just the remnants of these historical events. Ghost stories, unexplained phenomena, and supernatural events are as old as the building itself. Built in 1792, the White House has a rich but also disturbing history. Over the decades, various figures who have lived or worked there have reported encounters with the inexplicable. Its walls have witnessed the suffering, pressure, and tragedies of the nation's leaders, which, according to some, may have left an indelible mark on the place. Among these accounts are stories so unsettling that the presidential residence might be seen as more than just a historical landmark. In this video, we will explore the most famous ghost stories and the most notorious spirits that still roam the corridors and rooms of the White House. The dark side of this historic building will be revealed, showing that behind its noble facade, there is much more than meets the eye. Among all the ghost stories associated with the White House, none is as famous as that of Abraham Lincoln's ghost. The 16th President of the United States is often linked to the presence of his spirit in the building where he lived and governed during the turbulent years of the Civil War. Lincoln's ghost has been sighted numerous times since his death in 1865, and many claim he appears during times of national crisis or significant challenge. One of the most well-known sightings occurred during Franklin D. Roosevelt's presidency. His wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, who frequently used the Lincoln bedroom as a workspace, claimed several times to feel the presence of the former president while she wrote or read letters. Although she never saw him, the sensation was so strong that it felt as if Lincoln were there, watching, as if still bearing the weight of the decisions he had to make during his presidency. Another famous encounter happened with British Prime Minister Winston Churchill. Staying at the White House during World War II, Churchill spent a few days in the Lincoln bedroom. One night, after a hot bath, he emerged from the bathroom unclothed, holding a cigar, and was surprised to see the figure of Abraham Lincoln standing by the room's fireplace. The politician, known for his sense of humor, is said to have remarked, "Good evening, Mr. President. It seems I am at a disadvantage." The figure of Lincoln is then said to have vanished. But Churchill was not the only one to witness something unusual. Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, on a visit to the White House, also reported a bizarre experience. Staying in the Lincoln bedroom, she was awakened in the middle of the night by a soft knock on the door. Upon opening it, she found the figure of the former president, shrouded in his melancholic aura. The Queen, frightened, fainted on the spot. These are just a few of the many reports of encounters with Lincoln's spirit. Numerous others, including White House staff and even presidents, have claimed to feel a presence in the room or the surrounding corridors, especially during times of great national tension. His spirit, it seems, still watches over the White House, like an invisible guardian, perhaps unsettled by the challenges the country continues to face. The story of Abigail Adams, the wife of the second President of the United States, John Adams, is also among the oldest supernatural accounts of the White House. When the Adamses moved into the White House in 1800, the construction was still incomplete. Without running water, Abigail had to improvise for household tasks. She used the spacious East Room, one of the largest rooms in the house, to hang wet clothes and dry them in the sunlight streaming through the windows. The image of the First Lady walking among the linens hanging in the air became an iconic scene of the time. Over the years, however, disturbing reports have emerged that Abigail never truly left the East Room. Several visitors and staff members have claimed to see the spirit of a woman carrying clothes in her hands, walking silently through the room as if she were still engaged in her daily chores. Many describe a ghostly figure bathed in diffuse light, with her head held high and a determined expression, reflecting the strong and practical personality historically associated with Abigail. In addition to visual sightings, another common phenomenon associated with Abigail's spirit is the presence of a cold draft and the unmistakable smell of soap, which seems to appear out of nowhere in the East Room. Some witnesses report feeling a sudden drop in temperature as they cross the room, especially on quiet nights when the space is empty. These manifestations, though not aggressive, are described as unsettling reminders of the historical weight of the place. Abigail Adams' ghost appears to be bound to a domestic routine, perpetuating her daily activities even centuries after her death, as if time and change cannot erase her memories and habits. The story of David Burns is one of the most intriguing and mysterious among the supernatural phenomena of the White House. Before the land where the residence was built became government property, it belonged to Burns, a farmer who reluctantly sold his land to make way for the construction of the White House. It seems that even after his death, Burns did not sever his connection to the place. White House staff and security personnel over the years have reported hearing a mysterious voice echoing through the corridors, especially in the north wing of the building, where the Oval Office and presidential offices are located. The most chilling phrase is a whisper that says, "I am Mr. Burns." These reports describe the voice as clear but distant, as if coming from a time long past. On one such occasion, a cleaning crew was working late at night when one of the workers heard the whisper in her ear. Alarmed, she looked around and seeing no one, ran to alert her colleagues. Later, it was revealed that she was not the only one to hear the strange voice that week. Other guards and employees reported the same experience. David Burns' presence seems to be a manifestation of his reluctance to give up what was once his, or perhaps a reminder that the foundations of the White House were built upon human stories that have not entirely faded with time. The fact that his voice is still heard in the corridors reinforces the idea that even among the halls of power and prestige, there are echoes of the past that refuse to be forgotten. The office of Theodore Roosevelt, one of the most energetic and influential presidents in U.S. history, is also the site of supernatural stories. The place where Roosevelt spent long hours working and making crucial decisions for the country is known for its tense and mysterious atmosphere. Although he was a man of action, many believe that something of his spirit still lingers in the environment, creating a sense of unease among those who passed through. Reports of paranormal activity in this office are numerous. Staff and visitors claim to have heard inexplicable sounds, such as creaking doors, echoing footsteps, and even vague whispers in the silence of the night. Often, people report a strange feeling of being watched while working, as if an invisible presence were beside them, monitoring every movement. One of the most disturbing cases involved an employee who was working late into the night, organizing important documents for a meeting the next day. He heard firm footsteps coming from the corridor as if someone were approaching, but when he checked, no one was there. Minutes later, he felt a cold breeze pass by him and saw, out of the corner of his eye, Roosevelt's chair by the desk moving slightly. Alarmed, he abandoned his work and left the office quickly. It is believed that Roosevelt, with his strong and determined spirit, may still inhabit the space, as a guardian presence or even as a leader unable to detach from the decisions of power. Those who enter the office at night often describe a feeling of weight, as if the room were charged with an invisible yet undeniable energy. Dolly Madison, the charismatic wife of President James Madison, is known not only for her influential role in American society but also for her strong connection to the White House Rose Garden. During her time as First Lady, Dolly personally oversaw the creation of the garden, which quickly became a beloved and iconic space. It is said that her spirit, however, has never left this special place. Decades after her death, during Woodrow Wilson's presidency, there were plans to renovate the Rose Garden. Gardeners and staff were called to remove the plants and begin the work, but something unexpected happened. According to reports, as the workers started to dig, a female figure, dressed in old-fashioned attire, suddenly appeared at the site, preventing them from continuing. Terrified, the gardeners fled, claiming to have seen the ghost of Dolly Madison standing among the flowers she had helped plant. Since then, the garden has been associated with a protective presence. Even on calm days, some claim to feel a strange aura in the space, as if being watched by an invisible observer. On full moon nights, it is said that a female figure can be seen silently walking among the flower beds, observing the space with vigilant eyes but never directly interfering. Current White House staff avoid commenting on the Dolly Madison incident, but many admit to sensing an unusual energy while passing through the garden. Her connection to the place seems to transcend time, turning the Rose Garden into a realm that, in some way, still belongs to its original guardian. The White House is a place where the past and present meet in unique ways. It is not just a residence or a symbol of power but also a space charged with stories and energies accumulated over more than 2 centuries. The tales of Abraham Lincoln, Abigail Adams, David Burns, Theodore Roosevelt, and Dolly Madison are just a few of the many that continue to haunt the corridors and gardens of this historic building. Each of these stories, with its own mysteries and manifestations, contributes to the idea that the White House does not belong solely to the living. These accounts, ranging from ghostly apparitions to voices and inexplicable sensations, reinforce the notion that major events and historical figures leave marks that cannot be easily erased. The supernatural side of the White House is a reminder that the power and responsibility carried by these leaders often transcend their lifetimes. At the end of each day, when the lights of the White House go out and its corridors become empty, one might imagine that these presences still walk silently, observing and waiting, as if standing vigil over the constant changes and challenges facing the nation. Perhaps, after all, these ghosts are as rooted in history as the very nation they helped to build.